Hey guys, it's Adam from Premium Poker Tools, and in this video I want to go through this table that I have right here because in talking to my users I've realized that it's not immediately apparent what's going on, and a lot of people don't see this kind of help box over here. So I want to, I just want to go through the table and kind of walk you guys through it to make sure that it makes sense. So let me back up for a second. So we're on the should you call page, and we're in a spot where we have pocket tens, and we're on the flop. Our opponent enters with this range. The flop comes, and we have 2-to-1 pot odds, so our opponent bets pot. And we want to look at whether or not we can justify calling. So what this table is doing is it's showing us basically like how are we doing against different ranges. So let me start off with an example. So if we look at the intersection of top pair, top kicker, and let's say 1-to-1, what that's saying is that first of all, our opponent's value to bluff ratio is 1-to-1. So for every one value hand, our opponent also has one bluff. So that's what the 1-to-1 is saying. And now top pair, top kicker, what that's saying is that our opponent is going to be betting top pair, top kicker, and better for value. So now let's kind of go left to right a little bit. So now what if we look at this cell right here? So now what it's saying is that they're still betting top pair, top kicker, and better for value, but they're only betting they're betting at a 2-to-1 value to bluff ratio. So now they don't have as many bluffs as they did over here, and we can see that our equity went down. If we go to the left more, now they're betting at a 3-to-1 value to bluff ratio. So they're not what am I trying to say? They're not bluffing as much. And if we go all the way to the left, now they're only betting for value. And you can see that as we move to the left, our equity goes down because they're not bluffing as much. And then if we go to the right, we see that our equity improves because now they're betting at a 1-to-2 value to bluff ratio. And just as a little kind of rule of thumb, when you're on the flop, you'll probably be wanting to look at this column right here because most people will be betting the flop at a 1-to-2 value to bluff ratio. On the turn, most people will be 1-to-1, and on the river, it'll be 2-to-1. So we've kind of moved left to right. Now let's go back to our starting point and let's move up and down. So here we're at top pair, top kicker, and better for value, and a 1-to-1 value to bluff ratio. Now let's see what happens if we move up. So now what we're saying is that now they're only betting 2-pair using the top board card and better for value. So now they're not even betting top pair, top kicker for value. Now they're only betting 2-pair and better for value. So as you can see, that actually has hurt our equity. So now they're a little bit stronger when they have value. And now if we move downwards, now we're saying that they are going to be betting top pair with a good kicker and better for value. So now their value range, as we move down from here to here, now their value range is getting bigger. And because we're keeping the value to bluff ratio the same, their bluff range is going to expand as well. But as you can see, our equity still gets better as we move down. So then we move down one more, and let's go all the way down here. So here they're betting any pocket pair under top pair and better for value, and we're still keeping this 1-to-1 value to bluff ratio. So the point of this table is that it kind of helps you zoom out and see how you perform against different ranges. You can kind of get a sense that if they're value heavy, you're not going to be doing that well. If they're value betting at a 2-to-1 ratio, you can see if it's a 1-to-1 ratio, now, it kind of depends on how light they're going to bet for value. And, I mean, most of the time they're going to be betting all of this stuff for value, so you're probably good. But if they're, maybe, let's say they're checking all of these sorts of things, and they're only betting their sets for value, now you're doing bad. I mean, that would probably be unrealistic, but that's kind of what this is telling you. And finally, we can see over here that with a 2 to 1, or sorry, with a 1 to 2 value to bluff ratio, we're doing really good. And how good we're doing kind of depends on how wide their value range is, but regardless, we're doing pretty good. And I mean, if you go all the way over here, if you're against some sort of an unusual opponent who only bets for value, we're going to be doing bad pretty much regardless. So let me kind of contrast this table with like the other way to use this tool. So the more traditional way to use this tool would be to scroll down and you would kind of click and say what you think your opponent is going to bet the flop with. So we can say, I think they're going to bet with their weak pairs. I think they're going to check back their top pair weak kicker hands to put that in their checking range. So you would kind of answer this question of what are they going to continue with on the flop, or what are they going to bet with on the flop. And then you would scroll down and you would kind of see these analyses. You would see you have 38% equity. With 2 to 1 pot odds, you need 33%. Then you would scroll down and you would incorporate implied odds and effective odds and all this stuff, and you would estimate your real odds. And you would see that with these real odds that you're gonna, the break even percentage is this, and we're gonna be profitable. And then you can maybe go back and say, okay, what if they're gonna be betting their backdoor flush draws? So you would kind of continue to adjust these checkboxes and ask yourself what happens against different ranges. And that's great, but here the work is kind of done for you. Here you don't have to click all the checkboxes and see how do I do in this case, how do I do in that case. You can kind of zoom out and see it all at once. So I think that this table, once you kind of wrap your head around it and understand what's happening, I think this table really is a lot more powerful than the traditional way of clicking checkboxes. And I think that you'll find that it's kind of your preferred way to study. Of course, it's kind of, all about your personal preference. There's kind of advantages and disadvantages to each. But I just wanted in this video to kind of explain the idea behind this table to you so that it makes sense and that you can, it can help you study. So if you guys have any questions, definitely scroll down and click contact and shoot me an email. I'd love to answer any questions you guys have. I want to make sure that everything is clear. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you later.